hose bib here at the side of the garage is leaking around the handle pretty excessively and isn't caulked at the siding junction, so it looks like it's spraying water into the wall cavity a little bit. Now look at it running out from behind there. So this hose bib, yeah, is actively leaking behind the siding a little bit. If the ground settles around that conduit, it'll keep it from putting tension up here on these connections. So there's normally a clamp there and a clamp there that just physically connects that conduit to the side of the house. Now, anytime we get bugs into the house, or rodents and things into the house, it's normally around these pipes and things. You see how those screens are kind of loosely fitting? A mouse could go under there pretty easily. It'd be good to seal around it with some construction adhesive, some more caulking, which would kind of positively glue the whole perimeter of that screen into the opening. But really, this is gonna just essentially overflow. It's gonna act as if there was. I think this is just as good as no downspout and gutter because of this. This is a real big restriction there. One other thing too, these have these flappers that open and close onto the crawl screens, and really, you want to leave those open year round. Well, a lot of people think you want to close them in the wintertime to keep from losing heat, but those are to allow air to travel in and out of the crawl space. So if there's any water that does accumulate down there, you want to allow it to evaporate and keep the humidity levels down. See, anytime they hook the landscaping sprinkler system in to the actual, we call it hard piping it, when it's actually hooked in permanently to the water system. There's supposed to be a reverse anti-siphon device that will prevent reverse flowing of water. Well, let's say this is turned on and one of these drippers is sitting in a puddle of water. Sometimes pressures fluctuate, water pressures fluctuate, and let's say there's a fire down the street and the fire department comes and hooks their hose up to it. It can actually back siphon water, so it would basically be sucking dirty water into your drinking system. And so they require it on landscape systems because of fertilizers and things. There's a few instances in the past where somebody's died because they contaminated their drinking water supply. So usually it's just a small part that you can add. It's an air gap. Here at the rear of the house there is a hole next to the kitchen window. Looks like where it got shot with some kind of pellet gun or something. See how that's getting stuck open? And these are just flimsy little plastic baffles, and you can see how they're kind of curled. The UV rays cause those to do that, and then they don't close all the way. So you want them to close when it's not in use and open when you turn the vent on. What you don't want it to happen is if they get stuck open, potentially weather, driven rain can get into the wall there, or you can get bugs in, or possibly, I've seen birds build nests in these. Is that a gas line hookup? This so you can have a gas barbecuer. This is done really poorly too. You're not supposed to use multiple flex pipes like this. You're usually allowed to have one of those per fixture, or per, one per the range. Since I got two hooked together, and this isn't designed to pass through a finished surface. It should have been hard piped out to this point, and then they could use a flex connector. So this looks like, to me, this will be on my repair list too, because it looks really amateurish. Anytime you're dealing with gas lines where you can have a gas leak, it's usually something I make a big deal out of. Your dryer vent. So look at all that lint I see that on almost every house, more than 2 years old. See this white powdery stuff? It's calcium deposit. It's called efflorescence. So anytime you're having brick get saturated and then it evaporates out, it brings the minerals with it. So you can sometimes just put some water sealer on there, some masonry sealer. And on these caps, there's some nails that need to be caulked. The water won't possibly seep in around those. Boy, these are dirty. Ooh, I might stick my arm in there. Yeah, shower stalls are probably one of the most common plumbing leaks we find. The shower drain, because the drain is right in the middle of the pan, and that's where you're stepping. So you know you're dancing around taking a shower, stepping on that, it's moving up and down all the time. It's real common to get leaks. So I'll confirm that when I go upstairs. It looks like to me at least it's been patched. That means they probably removed the ceiling and fixed it. But you need to keep an eye on that and make sure that if you ever see a water stain that you call a plumber in right away to fix that before it becomes an issue. This is actually rusting out here. See, this is all corroded there. Yeah. This is what we would call a contractor grade disposer. So they don't normally last much longer than even 5 years sometimes. So here's, you see all these water stains here? Been leaking right there. And the reason for that is the burned natural gas is really moist and has a lot of condensation. So that'll blow and then the condensation will leak back and drip there. Real normal to see that. However, that just usually indicates that this needs to be sealed. This gap here. See, I don't know if you can tell, there's a little red caulking there. That's usually fire caulk and maybe just needs to be resealed. Oh look, it's dripping. You see that? It's gonna drip here in a second. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what, these, can you see the water drop there on your video? Right there. This is a one piece and this is a second piece, and they glue that, seal it, and a lot of times they don't get that glue. This has gotten soft from water. But you can make a note, there's a heat lamp and there's some past water damage or staining around the heat lamp on the ceiling. There's a one-piece fiberglass shower, and just put the notes about the regular maintenance of the tub drain, and there's evidence of past repair work done as seen in the kitchen right below this. Probably the bigger concern I have down there, which to me really isn't earth-shattering, but there's been a lot of rodents down there. Some maybe even bigger than rodents, like squirrels or something. I think probably because they've been coming in and out of that screen at the air conditioning we talked about. So they've got up inside some of the floor insulation and knocked it down. So it'd be good to have that resecured or replaced as necessary. Probably the biggest concern, but they added a gas line for a barbecuer over here on this corner, and whoever did that did a really non-professional, amateur type job. They used like 4 flex connectors. And not only are they connecting all these flex adapters together, it's not supported, so it's just laying on the ground, and they're actually running up and hooking it up somehow behind the range. So that was done totally. Actually, that flex pipe goes up through a hole in the floor, and I couldn't see the connection behind the range when we looked at it the first time. So that just needs to be evaluated and fixed for sure, because gas lines are, you either should have it abandoned and capped off permanently or have it installed appropriately. That's probably one of my top concerns.